Hello everyone and welcome back to Yorkshire Railway and welcome back to the day that we've finally been waiting for, Hornby's 2025 product launch. And yeah, it's been a mixed bag, I would say. There's certainly some interesting bits coming. I'm absolutely gutted that I'd say 99% of everything that I predicted didn't happen. I thought I actually took quite a lot of time thinking, oh, in Hornby's current state, what could they possibly, be putting out? What logically makes sense for them? And yeah, Hornby's done a complete, 360 on whatever was it not 360, 180 on what I've just said, and yeah, done the opposite. So yeah, proves you shouldn't just listen to a random guy on YouTube. But anyway, we're going to kick things off with the new train sets that have been released, and I'll definitely say I've got a bit of mixed feelings about the train sets that have been released. I think some are great, and I think some do we really need? Certainly, I think there could have been better options put out. But we'll start off first with Hornby's BR high-speed retro train set. And this looks absolutely fantastic, as you can see by the packaging on there. So it's going back to sort of the 70s, 80s style packaging, invoking those early train sets from them when they started, producing some of the high-speed intercity 125s. And yeah, I think the BR blue is definitely the right way to go. I've been saying it for ages that they should have released that in one of the earlier train sets rather than the GWR. Certainly, it's not going to be the old tooling from back when it was the 80s. They'll be using the same tooling, so it'll be the same as this one here. So I will say this isn't a terrible tooling. Certainly, it's nowhere near to the standards of the highly detailed one in terms of its mechanism, but overall looks, I don't think it's too bad. I'll be interested to see, because it's the one thing that this one doesn't have. This is the dummy car, is that the dummy car lights on the GWR don't work. So I'll be interesting to see if they've rectified that in the up and coming set launch. It is a little bit more expensive than the previous one. Retailing, and we'll just say this now, all the prices that I'm quoting today are from hornby.com direct. So you'll certainly probably find it a little bit cheaper at the retailers. So you can make that choice whether to go to Hornby direct or support your local model shop. But anyway, this retails at £169.99, and it contains the power car, dummy car, one coach, an oval track with a siding, and a controller. So pretty much the same set as the GWR high-speed train set. It's just basically a BR Blue version, which I think is fantastic. And I'll be honest, I'm tempted to get one. For those of you that have seen my ranking my class 43 video, you'll know that my BR Blue got absolutely butchered trying to rectify a different locomotive in the class 43s, and basically I've ended up with two locomotives that don't work. So yeah, I'm tempted, because I do rather like this style a lot, and certainly with a more modern motor than the Ringfields. Yeah, I think I will be taking that option to get one at some point. Only thing that will test the time is basically I've got a lot of pre-orders on order this year, so if I have spare cash available, I'll get one. If not, I'll have to persevere, but I can see them selling out pretty quickly. The next on our list is a Triang Remembered set, and this is the RS9 Intercity Express train set. A little bit more expensive than the high-speed one. It is £179.99, and this contains the locomotive, which looks like a Class 37 to me, but certainly correct that in the comments down below. I'm not really up on it, and it doesn't say all that much, although I do like the Class 37, but it's not made clear from the website post. And it comes with 3 Pullman coaches, all with their individual names and running numbers, an oval track, and a power clip. So similar to how the other Triang Remembered sets come, back when it was Triang, they didn't include a controller, so it was supposed to be a little bit of a cheaper way of getting a train set. Hornby seem to have sort of chucked that out the window and made this one fairly expensive for what you get, because it is just going to be a railroad Class 37 and railroad Pullman coaches. So yeah, I'm not too thrilled with that one personally. The next we have the LNER Azuma high-speed train set. Now this one is quite interesting. So this retails for the same price at $179.99. It's featuring a newly tooled Class 800 Azuma in the LNER livery, and that comes with a locomotive, dummy car, one coach, over the track with a siding, and a controller. And what excites me more about this is that they've clearly taken the Class 800, and it is quite a basic model in its overall looks. You know, the body shell is pretty, you know, smooth. There's not really that much other than molded detailing on the roof panels here, and the only bit of detailing really is the pantograph area. So yeah, I can definitely see them entering this into a railroad range. Obviously, what gives this the edge is obviously we have directional lighting in both ways. So we have the red lights for the tail lights, and we have the forward-facing white lights, and I believe there is cab lights as well. I can't really remember because it's been a while since I've run these, as well as interior lighting, and that's on the coaches as well. So the only thing I can imagine is it's going to be the same body shell. I don't think there's going to be much in terms of deviation because they've made quite a few of these now, and I can see them literally just taking one and reprinting and respraying it over and over again. Not necessarily down to accuracy, but more just to make it more affordable. And I think they'll just take away all the lights. By accounts, I think there is rumours it's supposed to have directional lighting, and I imagine that's just in the forwards direction. I can't see them having reversal lights on it. But I imagine it'll be a similar thing to the high-speed train set. I reckon the dummy car will have no lights. I don't think the coaches will have any lights. I think it will literally just have forward directional lighting. But for the price, you know, of $179.99 for a power car, dummy car, one coach, and the track, I think that's pretty good value for money, really. We'll get to it later. They are releasing two different packs, train packs of the LNER and a GWR. But I'll get to that later on prices and everything. And finally, we have the Santa's Express rechargeable battery set. I've got a bit of a mixed bag about this, but it was until I sort of did some looking into it. Oh, sorry, no, I've got a different one actually. That's not the last one, but anyway, Santa's Express train set's rechargeable battery, $39.99. So it's relatively cheap and affordable, and certainly for a round the bottom of your Christmas tree train, I can see this selling pretty well. I can see it's been one of those sort of novelty sets that I don't even think it will just be down to the retailers such. I reckon that, like, you know, not like your model retailers, should I say. I reckon that places like garden centres, you know, big retail stores like Marks and Spencer's, I can see them stocking it. Simply of the reason of it's cheap and affordable, and it's to go around the bottom of a Christmas tree. So, you know, I can see this set selling very, very well. The one thing that I don't like is that it's more aimed at obviously children, and I get that's obviously, you know, what Christmas is all about, but it's part of the Play Trains range. So it's got the same magnetic couplings, comes with two wagons, the locomotive, a circular track, and it's a rechargeable battery as well. So yeah, not too bad for the price, but certainly for those that are more serious modelers, I could see this just being definitely a throwaway set and not bothering to order. And then finally, we have a new train set in the form of Freight Runner train set. So as you can see, this looks like a nice little train set. It's $79.99. It comes with a locomotive, two wagons, an overload track, a controller, and a re-railer. Definitely, the thing that stands out for more on this one is the couplings, because this looks like it's been a redesigned railroad set, or railroad locomotive, should I say. And by the look of the couplings, it's a little bit unsure and a little bit unclear because it doesn't say anywhere on Hornby's website, but they're either going to be sort of looking like magnetic couplings, or more to me is they look like NEM pockets. They look like they've sort of got round the old D-type couplings that they used to have, and I've found a solution to either retrofitting or just retooling certain aspects of the locomotives and putting this new NEM socket on there. So I imagine it will be a NEM pocket. I reckon it'll be interchangeable with whether you want magnetic couplings or just the standard NEM tension locks. But it'll be great if they do, and I look forward to seeing more information as it comes to light, because definitely by the pictures it looks like it's going to be, you know, a revolution for the railroad range. And if that's the case, definitely for the years to come, it's going to be a really, really good thing. So moving on, we'll start with the steam engines, and we'll start with what is probably everyone's most looking forward to locomotive. And definitely if you're a GWR runner, it's definitely going to interest you, which is the Saint class. So they're producing two of these models. There's 2999 Lady of Legend, and that is the retail price of $234.99, and they're also producing 2975 Lord Palmer, both in the GWR livery. As you can see, they do look stunning locomotives, and it looks like it is going to be new tooling. So yeah, going to be absolutely a fantastic one to get if you're a GWR fan. As well as that, they're introducing the GWR Castle class, which is a previously released model, but we've got a new one in the form of 5081 Lockheed Hudson, and that retails for $229.99. Moving on, we've got another 9F in the early BR logo, and it is 92018, and this retails for the shocking price of $279.99. And I say that because, as you can see from behind me, I've just got myself a 9F. I got a Christmas bargain. I'm quite happy to say how much I paid for it. I paid $142.49, I think it was. So yeah, that was from TMC. So I got a pretty good deal with that. And I will honestly say, I do not think it's worth the money. Simple fact, I think it's underpowered, and there's a lot of problems on track work. But I'll get to that because you can watch that in the review. So I'm not going to spoil too much, but certainly I don't think it's worth $279.99. And clearly, I think a lot of people thought the same, because obviously I managed to get that at half price. Well, a little bit over, because I got an extra discount on that. So yeah, it's yeah, definitely not worth the full price at all. I don't think the price I paid is too bad for what it is, but certainly there is a few niggles with it. So moving on to, I'd say, a more interesting one, and definitely not on my bucket list. I got this completely wrong in my predictions, but it is the early BR Thomson's A2 60501 Cock of the North, and this is the steam generator loco for 2025. So yeah, a little bit of an interesting one. I mean, I'm not saying I'm disappointed with it. I'm more disappointed at the fact that I didn't guess right. But I guess that is a good thing, because it means that we're not going to get any duplication. And certainly for those of you wanting an A4, there is the Dapple Black Editions coming out this year. And now we have Cock of the North as well as a steam generator. So yeah, this retails for $364.99. And I'll say, I think it looks pretty decent. So yeah, probably not going to be on my wish list as such, but certainly I could see some of those out there enjoying that one a lot. And obviously that comes fully sound fitted with the steam generator as well. Next, we move on to the first of a new 00 locomotive. So this is the early BR Princess Coronation 46230 Duchess of Beauchley. And this retails for $349.99. Obviously part of the 00 range, it is fully die-cast in the whole bodywork. So definitely going to be a bit more of a seriously well-detailed model. And yeah, I'd expect it to be a good one. Not that I have the budget for that, but anyway. Moving onwards, we have our first terrier, and our only terrier of this year. So I was a little bit wrong in the sense that I thought that with the new, is it the J52s? I can't remember. There's so many locos to remember at the minute. But yeah, certainly with the new tank engines that Hornby have announced, I thought they would flood the market with their existing tank engines in the form of the Terrier and the Peckett. And I thought this year we'd see quite a few of those produced. But there's only one on either side, and the Terrier is 32659, and it is in the early BR black. It's £164.99, so a little bit on the pricey side, but if you want one, you can only get it from hornby.com because it is a web exclusive. Moving on, we have a late BR crest, and that is the Thomson C1A23 in number 60521 Waltling Street. And that is a retail price of £279.99. Definitely looking like a stunning loco, but probably not one that's going to be on my wish list personally. And then moving onwards, we have the return of the Merchant Navy class. So this one is number 35013, and it is blue funnel. And yeah, I definitely think it's a nice addition. Certainly for the Southern Rail fans. It's been a while since we've had another BR Blue Merchant Navy class. It's probably not going to be on my wish list. As I say, I've already got one, so don't really need two going around. I definitely probably would look into getting a malachite green one, but we'll see how the future pans out. But that retails at £239.99. But I definitely say if it's anything like the East Asiatic Company, it's a very, very good locomotive. Really good runner. It's got a massive flywheel on it. It's a smooth runner. Hopefully yours won't suffer with the same problem mine did with the Tender, where it's got a bit of a squeak to it. Easily solved, but not something you want right out of the box. Moving on, we have a BR Class T9 in number 30338, and that retails for £229.99. Yeah, another loco wasn't on my predictions at all. I'll say in terms of steam, it's not really up in my forte. I definitely like learning about the ones that I have, but certainly, you know, for new locomotives, glad to be introduced. And it does look a decent looking locomotive. Moving on, we've got BR, in an early BR, we've got the Stania 5MT Black 5s. And we'll start off, because there's a few of them, we've got number 44907, and that is a web exclusive. We've got a 44748 late Caprotti, and we've got 5047. These all retail at £249.99, but as I say, the first one is a web exclusive, so you can only get that direct from hornby.com. Moving on, we've got the first of two J15s that are going to be released, and this is in the early BR Black. We'll get to the other one later on, and that is 65465 with definitely I'd say a reasonable asking price of £139.99. It's obviously from the previous tooling, but apparently by all accounts it is not a bad locomotive at all, and certainly I can see this one selling pretty well with more beginner modelists wanting to get a serious model into their collection. Next we've got the early BR standard 2MT. So a previously one has been released, I believe it was it last year, or late 2022, not 2022, 2023 should I say. But anyway, the 2MT, and it is a lined BR Black as well, number 78019, and that retails for £239.99. Again, another stunning looking locomotive. I'll see if I can get one on my wish list. Moving into the LNR, we didn't have much from the LNR in terms of steam this year. So we only had two locomotives announced, and the first one was LNR Streamlined B17 2870 City of London. So obviously this was a previously released last year, but it was in the BR Black, or Wartime Black should I say, and it retails for £274.99, but this time is going into the LNR Apple Green, and I'd say it looks a lot more stunning in this livery than the BR Black, but certainly the one I was wanting to get out of the two, but I didn't manage to get my hands on it, was actually the Wartime Black one. So yeah, definitely I think I will see if I can try and get one of these this time. But certainly at the price of £274.99, I don't think I will be paying that for it. I'll definitely try and get a bit of a retailer discount for that. And then the next LNR locomotive is another addition to the 00 range. It is a Class A4 4492 Dominion of New Zealand. Again, another stunning looking locomotive. Definitely the A4s are a pinnacle of the Hornby 00 range, and it retails for £349.99. Moving down south, we're going to the first of two Southern Railways. So we've got Southern Railway Class S15 number 836, and that retails for £144.99. Again, looking at it, it looks a pretty decent looking locomotive. I don't know if the tooling is brand new or not, but I guess by the price it probably is a little bit of an aging tooling, but certainly it definitely looks a decent looking loco. We'll just have to see how it performs once it releases. Southern Railway Class T9 as well, and we've got this is number 302, and that also retails for £229.99. Again, another looking, a nice looking loco. Certainly a little bit of an interest, but those for the Southern Rail fans, I think you've got some good choices here today. Next, we move to the Great Eastern Railway, and this is for the next of the J15s, which looks absolutely stunning in this lovely blue livery. It's apparently how it is preserved as well. So that is number 564 and retails for £139.99. Now, I reckon that this one will probably sell out before the BR Black one. So definitely, if you think this is the one for you, I would probably get your pre-order in at either hornby.com or your local model shop as soon as possible, because yeah, I could see this selling out on pre-order straight away. I don't think there will be any on the shop shelves because it's a stunning looking loco and comes at a good price as well. Next, we've got the Manchester Shipyard Canal Peckett W4. So this is the only Peckett on the list, and this is named Jaffa, and that retails for £139.99, and definitely looks a nice little Peckett. Very similar to last year's with the sort of emerald sort of green, but yeah, really, really nice to see another Peckett on the list, and I think that we'll just keep on having those to come. And then finally, we've got a SNDR 1925 locomotion number 1. So again, released last year, but they're doing a special one for the railway 200 years. So it's obviously 200 years since mainline railways hit the UK, and that retails for £184.99. So yeah, nice to see that locomotion number 1's coming back. Gives those of us that didn't get a chance to get one another chance at grabbing our hands on that. Anyway, moving on. Diesel locomotives. This is going to be really nice and short and sweet because there's only one of the Hornby Railways range of diesels, should I say. So don't come for me in the comments just yet. And that is the Ruston and Hornby's WMJEA 88DS number 1. So yeah, nice looking little shunting diesel. Retails for £124.99. So yeah, I reckon on a retailer discount, you'll be looking just above or slightly just below £100. So yeah, I think not a too bad one to go. So again, moving on, we get to the electric locomotives, and certainly one that I did get right in my predictions, although I did get the liveries wrong. We have the return of the Class 91. So yeah, I did think it was a little bit strange that Hornby sort of put all this money into new tooling for the Class 91 and then released them, and then they were never to be seen again. But it appears in 2025 we have 3 on the market coming. So first of all, we have the BR Intercity Class 91 91031, Sir Henry Royce. We also have a GNER Class 91 91124, and that is Reverend W. Audrey. So those of you who are Thomas fans, I think that will be the one for you. And we finally have an LNER Class 91 91130, Lord Mayor of Newcastle. And these all retail at £244.99. Certainly, I will definitely say it is a pricey price to pay for, but in terms of mine here, which is the LNER Flying Scotsman, it is a fantastic locomotive. It's really, really weighty. It's got some heft behind it. In terms of actual features that you get with this, so you have directional lighting. There is also cab lighting for DCC users. The only downside I would say, yeah, is the pantograph. It's not obviously anything made of metal, but in terms of decoration and everything, really, really well put together. The mechanism is really, really great as well. It's a very, very smooth runner. So yeah, I'm happy to definitely sort of pay the price. I'd say at a good price. I mean, I got mine for about 155, I think it was, when I went to Key Model World Live. So yeah, it's one to look out for. It possibly might come out in some sales, but I would say pick it up on your retailer discount, and you'll have a really fantastic loco to add to your collection. Which one do I want is more to the choice. Again, I've got lots of pre-orders on, so I am not actually pre-ordering anything at the moment because I don't want to blow the budget. It's either that I'm going to have to sort of see when things are coming out and see what budget I can put out. But for me, I'd probably go for the BR Intercity, just because I think it's a classic livery and it's not something I have in my collection, something I do want in my collection. So yeah, that would be the one for me. A second one for me would be probably the GNR. It's a staple of my childhood, running up and down the East Coast Main Line from sort of Doncaster to York, when I used to go on the train. That is sort of part of my childhood, and I definitely remember going on the Class 91s up there. Very smooth runners, did it in like a very quick time as well. And I just remember watching them on the main line. So yeah, that would probably be the second one to go for. So we'll see how we go. I'm probably leaning more now actually going to the GNR, because the one that I really want is actually the LNER sort of intercity colours. I think that one looks a little bit nicer personally than the BR one does, but we'll see how we go. Right, moving onwards to train packs, and I can say this is the only one that I got correct in my predictions list. So yeah, it's not doing too bad, I don't think, but it is the Class 805 in the Avanti West Coast livery. So this is the 5-car train pack, and it retails for $549.99, which, honestly speaking, isn't too bad for what you get in the train pack. Obviously, you get the power car, the dummy car, and 3 coaches. They'll all have directional lighting, as well as the coaches have internal lighting. So for what you get, it is a pretty good set. And by all accounts, with the TPE, it seems like they have outlined a little bit of areas in terms of the pulling power. I've seen a lot of people say they seem to pull the full rake of coaches a lot better. So who knows? But anyway, I think it looks absolutely stunning, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. So yeah, quite happy I managed to guess that one right. So next year we've clearly got 2 to pick from, and I guarantee I get them wrong. So I would presume that they would either do Hull trains first and then the EMR, but that's just my personal choice. I think the Hull trains looks better, but I guarantee they'll do another LNER, and it'll be what's the stupid like Muppet puppet they've got? Is it Eleanor? Yeah, they'll just do some livery like that, and I'll look stupid again. Moving on, we have another train pack from Avanti West Coast, and that is the Class 390. So the Pendolino is making a comeback, and this is for the COP26 livery. So it's a 4-car train pack, but all the coaches are available. There's, I think, 3 packs of coaches available to get you the full car length. And yeah, it looks very striking. It's got that Avanti West sort of colour scheme, but with sort of these green energy and things like that sort of livery on it, and that retails for $339.99, which, looking at it, a pretty reasonable price really, especially compared to, like, say, the Class 805. It's a little bit cheaper, so if you want to get that sort of feel of a large train, then definitely that's probably the one to go for. Moving on, we move down to Greater Anglia, and we have the Class 755-4 Flirt, and this is in the Pride livery. So a little bit interesting that they've decided to announce another Flirt, seeing as the original release of the Flirt still hasn't arrived yet. But I imagine the fact that it's on its way, they probably just booked straight in for another tooling and just resprayed it, because from what I've seen of it in person, it's a stunning looking loco. It's got some really great features to it, and yeah, just looks a decent locomotive overall. So I can't blame them for respraying it as such. They're only doing the 4-car train pack for this one, and that retails for $449.99. Next, we move on to, I think, my biggest disappointment of the whole range announcement, and that is the Class 43. So I thought long and hard about what Hornby could do, definitely to drum up more business for their Class 43s, because we've had quite a lot of them over the years, and you know, they're great. The newly tooled ones are fantastic. Bit pricey, certainly, but I definitely say, you know, they're worth the money as such. The only thing that annoys me with this one is that it is the Midland Pullman, which I believe it was only like 2 or 3 years ago we had a Midland Pullman, and I reckon the only reason that they are bringing it back is because they over ordered the coaches, which are still available. You can still find them in a lot of retailers. I believe they're still available on hornby.com as well. But yeah, it's I think the only difference in this one is that they're calling it the one-to-one collection. So yeah, I don't really know what to say. When we will get the Colas Rail livery, and when will we get some more love for Network Rail trains? Yeah. Don't know what to say on that one. The more interesting thing on this is it's $394.99 at its retail price, which is a little bit on the pricey side compared with previous HSTs. Certainly the only one that came a little bit close, obviously there's still not a lot of detail out on what it's coming with, just says power car and dummy car in the train pack. But the Intercity Executive that came out last year was of a sort of similar price. It was just a little bit more, but it was into the £400 mark. But that came with the whole HM7000 sound package as well. So yeah, I'm hoping this one does. Certainly for that price anyway, because I won't be touching it with a barge pole if that is the case. Right, anyway. Moving onwards, we've got two of the same train packs. So we have a Network Southeast Class 423 in number 3193 for VEP, and we've also got a BR Class 423 7712 for VEP, and these retail for $399.99. Looks like a 4-car train pack. I imagine that's what 4 VEP means. But yeah, 4-car train pack, so you're looking at about £100 per item of rolling stock. So by the looks of it, in terms of a DMU, it's got a power car, a dummy car, and then sort of 2 interior coaches. I would expect for the price that it's going to have full directional lighting, as well as cab lighting and interior lighting. Certainly for that price, that is what I would be expecting from that, and I would expect some good weight on it as well. But yeah, it definitely looks, you know, pretty decent. It's a bit hard to tell from the images available, because rather than putting the whole train together, they've only just sort of done it individually, so it's a little bit hard to guess on terms of size and how it looks all together. But yeah, not a bad one. And then the last of the train packs, oh sorry, no, we've got 2 train packs, should I say. We've got the first one, and the part of the Railway 200 range. We've got the Birth of Railways train pack. This one, I don't really know on this one. This is sort of what annoyed me about it, in the sense that we've got no new Era 1 locomotives. What they've decided to do is they've released locomotion number 1 again, and this pack, the Birth of Railways, includes locomotion number 1, Rocket, and I believe it's Lion. Yeah. Why they thought this one's going to sort of sell overall, because I can understand if they made the first 3 limited edition and they sold out, you know, on announcement, and everyone was crying out, I haven't got one, I haven't got one. But I imagine those of you that wanted Rocket have got one. Those of you that wanted Lion or Tiger, because it's the same locomotive, just a different name, have got one. And if you wanted locomotion number 1, I imagine you've got one as well. So I don't see this pack selling very well. It's certainly at £399.99 as the retail price. £100, well, you're looking at about 133 for each locomotive. There does look to be a little bit of subtle differences between especially rocket, I'd say, but it could just be the render on the photograph. But yeah, I don't know on this one. I can see this one being bought by retailers, and come Christmas, it will be in the sales. I just don't see it selling that well personally. Like I say, I think those of you that wanted one particular locomotive out of that pack will have got one. And are you really going to buy another one? The only people that this would appeal to, I'd say, is those of you that don't have any, and those of you that bought Tiger and then have now decided I want all of them. That's the only people it's going to appeal to. Yeah, it's not going to be for me. And then the next one, and this is the more stranger one, looking at the image that I'll put on screen, Southeastern Class 395, and this is number 395014-4. Sorry, why am I -4? It's because it's highlighted. 5015, that's what it is. It's a 4-car train pack, and it looks like this. Not much to go on it. It is the Javelin set, so it's a Pendolino, but they haven't released the livery. It's just carpeted with this sort of Railways 200 blanket. So yeah, I imagine at a later date they will show the livery, but it's hard to get hyped about something if you can't see it, in my personal opinion. But anyway, this retails at £299.99. So yeah, not really much to say on that. But now we're getting to the big one, because it sounds like Hornby has listened this year to a lot of people saying that the model railway hobby is getting a little bit too expensive, and that the railways range certainly is, yeah, there's a lot of expensive models in there. Not all of them are up to standards, and certainly in my case throughout last year, I found that a lot of my locomotives are railroad models in disguise. So yeah, it sounds like they have listened on this, because they have announced an absolute behemoth of railroad locomotives. And we'll start off first of all with the Class 08. So yeah, a little bit of a shock really with this, because obviously we had Bachmann's announcement last year that they are making a whole new tooled Class 08, and obviously that's going to have the all singing and dancing mechanisms, and it's having lighting. There's DC sound, there's DC sound deluxe, and you know, we're getting close to sort of £400 with that. So yeah, it's a pricey one. Obviously Hornby's well, it'll be outdated by the time that comes around. Their sort of railways version, should I say, version of the 08, that retails for about £200. So why not chuck in a railroad version with the price of £59.99? And I'll be honest, I'm tempted to get one. I really want one of the Bachmanns, but I'm tempted to get one of these just to see what it's like, because at that sort of price, I can't see it being brilliant. I imagine it's going to share a chassis similar to that of the pannier tank that I had in the train set. It's obviously an 060. It's got a nice little mechanism. The only downside is it does stall on point work, but time will tell. Obviously, the upside of this is it will be DCC ready, because they're also announcing a sound version, and that is for £114.99, which, looking at the price difference, you know, for a DCC fitted, and it's going to be sound fitted, presumably with the HM7000, yeah, I don't think that's a bad price at all, really. And certainly you're looking at the retailer discount for that, you're going to be looking just over £100, if not just below it. So yeah, I think it looks great as well. In the EWS livery, it is number 08512. Yeah, I think it looks absolutely fine. And, you know, granted, it's got the large D-type couplings, but for sort of £100, can I moan for a sound-fitted loco? I don't think so. So yeah, I'm tempted to get one. Moving onwards, we've got the Railroad Southern Rail Class B4, number 96, Normandy. This is part of two Class B4s that they're releasing. So they've also got the Shepley Steelworks, and that is number 9. And these both retail for $34.99. Another 040 shunter. Again, as you can see from the couplings, it does look a little bit like they've got the similar one to the train set. So it'll be interesting to see if these are magnetic or if they are just NEM pockets. I believe they're just NEM pockets. I don't know why everyone thinks that they're having magnetic coupling, because certainly it will be an upside, but the downside to that is they're not going to be compatible with any other rolling stock. So yeah, I think they're just NEM pockets personally. But yeah, nice little tank engine for the railroad range. Next we move on to a railroad Class 55 Deltic in the BR green. So this is number 55002, the King's Own Yorkshire Light Infantry. And the standard version retails at $74.99, with a sound fitted version retailing at $129.99. Again, I can't moan it for a sound fitted loco. I think it's a great little price. And certainly for those of you who've made the step over to DCC or just going to start out really, chipping a loco is quite expensive. You know, I'd say really you're looking at £100 easily to sound chip a loco, especially if you're looking at like getting a lock sound a decoder. But you know, for the HM7000, it's a great bit of kit. I've got one. I'll be honest, I found it a little bit complicated to use, but for buying it outright where it's already downloaded and you don't have to do anything to it, yeah, can't see anything wrong with that. $129.99 for a sound fitted Deltic. Yeah, what's really going to be wrong with that? And certainly if you have a DCC layout and, you know, say your grandkids or your kids are wanting to join in, it's a nice little locomotive to get them into the hobby, and that'll run on your layout, but you haven't got the notion that they're going to damage your Acura scale Deltic, and you know, you can buy a nice little cheap Hornby Railroad one. So yeah, I can't fault that at all. Next we've got a Class 73 in the BR blue colour. That is 73132, and it retails for $89.99. Yeah, not really much to say on that. It looks all right. Next we've got a Railroad Plus Class 66, and we've got two of these. So these is the Aggregate Industries 66711 cents, and we've also got GBRF Chinook in 66723. Yeah, another good one. I'll be honest, just for the livery alone, I'm tempted to get the GBRF one. It looks great, and you know, it's got a giant helicopter on the side of it, so what's not to like about that? You know, I've heard that price-wise, comparison to, like, say, the Acura scale, yeah, you're paying like twice as much, but the Acura scale one is obviously a lot better. You know, I've got two of the Hatton ones just behind me there, so I know they're a lot better. But they have sound-fitted versions again, and they retail for $149.99. So you can get a sound-fitted, obviously it's a railroad version, but a sound-fitted Class 66 for less than what the Acura scale DC ready one is. So yeah, it's very tempting, and I can see what Hornby's really doing with this is make a lot of sound-fitted versions, because I reckon that they will sell better than, say, just the standard version will, in hopes that they can just outcompete the likes of Acura scale, because obviously they are the leading standard now for sort of cheap but highly detailed locomotives. Anyway, moving on, we've got another re-emergence. I can't remember the last time that these were even out, and I don't think it was in my lifetime. It is the Class 58, two of which are being released. It is the BR Rail Freight, so that is the Doncaster Works number 58020, and the BR Mainline number 58046, Ashford B Mine. So yeah, I have one of these here. This is my version. It doesn't run very well, rarely goes out for runnings anymore. It's more just a static model at this point. It does still work, it just needs a bit of a warm-up, but you get a lovely electrical smell around the layouts. Again, I'm not able to show you the mechanism on this. That's the wrong end. There we go. Look at that for a mechanism. So yeah, it's got a terrible motor, and that drives the gears on top. So yeah, I am kind of looking forward to seeing this one, because again, it retails for $94.99. So yeah, not a bad little price, but I imagine it's going to have a bit of an update. I can see better lighting, and obviously it says it's in the Railway Plus range, so maybe lighting as well. Who knows? But that's rather quite exciting, that one's making a comeback as such. Anyway, next we have the return of the B17, which definitely will be this version, because this is the railway version, and looking at the pictures, it looks identical, because you've got this horrible bogie on the front. Well, I say horrible. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's certainly, compared to the railway version, it's a little bit past it. But yeah, we're getting a return of the B17. Sorry about that, a little bit tricky to put it down. But yeah, the return of the B17. So this is in the late BR livery, and it is 61652 Darlington. And the interesting thing about this, and this is where I'm a little bit torn with it, is the price, because we're getting into territory that is no longer railroad price, we're getting into railways price. And certainly there's some locos in the railways range that I've just announced that are for the same price of $144.99. Yeah. Certainly for aging tooling, I don't think it's worth it. I would say, obviously, yeah, I get inflation and all that, but £100 is about the point where it wants to be. Hornby definitely will probably be charging like £120 for it, but yeah, £100 is where it wants to be. 144, I mean, call it 145. It's not worth it. Certainly, I would just try and get one of the railways range on eBay or something, secondhand shop, wherever. But that's a lot better locomotive. This one isn't worth the price, and I'd stay clear. Pick it up when it hits the sales, and you'll probably get a bargain on it. But yeah, other than that, it looks good, but yeah, it's not worth the money. That's in my opinion, obviously. Next we move on to the next to the Railway Plus. It is the Class 73. So another one, and it is in the GBRF Network South East, number 73128, Kent and East Sussex Railway, and this is DCC sound fitted for £144.99. Again, looks pretty decent loco, sound fitted, can't really moan at the price for that. So what was the other one, £189.99? So yeah, you're looking not really that much more. It's what, £50 more? Yeah, can't moan for that. Then the only LMS locomotive to make it into the whole of the announcement. So sorry for those of you who are LMS fans, but you've been absolutely left out, apart from a railroad LMS 5540 Patriots Robert Turnbull. Yeah, it looks a very, very striking loco. Certainly as a railways loco, it's probably not going to be worth the asking price of £149.99, so £150 for this. Really, Hornby? Do you think people are going to pay that? I wouldn't. Yeah, I could tell really just from looking at it that it's an aging tooling. It's probably not going to have a great mechanism, and if it was me, save your money and just wait for it to be discounted, because you could probably pick it up fairly cheap when it comes down a lot. You know, discount that by even like 30%, you know, you're looking close to £100 at that point. So yeah, it's not worth it. Anyway, what the next exciting one, we're going to the Railroad Class 800s. And there's two on the market, as I said earlier. We have an LNER and we've got a GWR. Both retail for £149.99. So obviously, yeah, for new tooling, it's not too bad. But again, looking at the pictures and everything, I can't see that much difference between this one and what is on the market. So for those of you that have always thought the Class 800s are a little bit pricey, and certainly I'm not going to defend it and say that they are, you know, they're really, really good value for money. You get what you pay for with them. I'll definitely say that. You know, all the lighting and everything in there, It's obviously a lot of complications, but you've now got one that is going to be the railroad version, so it will be scaled back. So obviously don't expect interior lighting and full directional lighting. I think it will have forwards directional lighting, but I don't see it having reverses or cab lighting for that matter. But can't really moan for £150. This does only come as the power car and the dummy car. Coaches are sold separately. I'll get to that in a little bit. So yeah, I think absolutely fantastic. And the two liveries that they've chosen are they're more sort of popular ones. But I can see as things go on, I can see the Avanti West Coast making it to this point as well. That'll probably be next year's. And whichever next year's announcement is, that'll probably be the year after. So yeah, I can see it happening. Now we come to rolling stock highlights, and I'm not going to go through the full range of rolling stock highlights because the full range of rolling stock, because I'd be here all day. There's so much rolling stock that has been announced, so I've just picked out sort of what I thought was the more interesting of the two. And we'll start off with the railroad plank wagon. Yeah, what's more interesting about this? Obviously, it has a similar coupling to the train set, as well as the is it the B? I can't remember the little tank engine anyway. But yeah, it looks like they've got NEM pockets again. I don't think they're magnetic, as I've already said. I think they are NEM pockets. But if that is the case, it's going to be great because it means that we can now get sort of cheaper rolling stock for a reasonable price, and they'll have NEM tension locks. So these retail for £17.49, but obviously at retailer you're probably going to be looking around about, I'd say, £15. So not terrible. Obviously it's nothing like Oxford rail price, but certainly it's going to be a little bit cheaper than, say, like buying a Bachmann or even a Rapido at that rate. And again, we move on to the railroad vent van. I've just picked one out of each of these for display purposes, but there are a few in the range. And that retails at £17.99. Same reason, you know, it looks like it's got NEM pockets now, so I'll be excited to see more developments on that as we go on. Next, we move on to, we have 7 Beatles tap box vans coming. Unfortunately for our American friends over the pond, they look like they're aimed at you. So these have the Beatles anthology range aimed at their US tours. So lots of images from their sort of album covers with a US flag sort of stapled on them as well. They're obviously selling. I'm not going to tell Hornby what to do because they clearly obviously know more than me. They're obviously selling, and if it's making them money at the end of the day, that's all that matters, because that's probably funding new tooling for better locomotives. So can't really moan too much, but at the end of the day, I can't wait to watch Sam's trains, smash them with a hammer. Yeah, hi Sam, if you're watching, can't wait to see that. Shout me out if you do smash it with a hammer. But the surprise Beatles tap wagon that sort of came out is the Beatles Yellow Submarine 100-ton tanker wagon. So yeah, as you can see, this is themed around the Yellow Submarine logo, well, livery, or for the album. It retails at £29.99. And yes, just a bit of a weird one again, isn't it? I've said in the past, the one that made sense was the Eurostar. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure at one point I think the Eurostar did have that paint job. I'm sure someone told me that once. I could be wrong, but yeah, again, correct me in the comments if I am wrong. I'd rather learn. But yeah, this one just seems weird to me. Is like, because tanker wagons are obviously for mainly petroleum products. This one's just bizarre. I mean, I said the artwork does look very good, but it's just weird things to put on random things. It's like Hornby sort of just close your eyes, pick up a wagon, and we will turn that into a Beatles tap wagon. That's basically what they do. But anyway, enough with the Beatles. We're moving on to the next of sort of an interesting development. So we have 2 tanker wagons available, well, 4 tanker wagons in total, but 2 are from the North Down Brewery, and the one I've got is Pale Ale Mary, and we've got the Wensleydale Brewery. This one's for the gamekeeper, but there are 4 available in total. I just thought I'd just pick 2, one from each. These retail at £24.99. So as you can see, they're the 6-wheel tanker wagons. Again, look really, really great. Striking colours on the wagons. I imagine as well, like, you know, if you weathered them up a little bit, they'd look a little bit less vibrant, but certainly they look like something that should be on a real railway. And I think that's the best thing about these kind of wagons. And it looks like this Hornby's sort of, I don't want to say copying, but taking influence from Dapple in this instance, because Dapple's got their box wagon. They've released, you know, over last year, I can't remember how many different liveries we've got, but we got the motorbikes, the ice cream lollies, tea. There was a couple from Rails of Sheffield that they had an ale, I think it was, over Christmas. And then yeah, there's the Henderson's Relish one I've got somewhere over there. So yeah, it's a nice little wagon. Don't get me wrong, but it's great that they can sort of keep releasing these at a affordable price. So Dapples generally range for just slightly over £10. You're sort of looking between 10 and 15, depending on what it is. Obviously this one's a little bit more, but again, it's a 6-wheel tanker wagon, and I know Dapple's got their 6-wheel tanker wagon, and the price of those release around about the same. You're looking sort of the £20 mark, well, between 20 and 25. They did the James May's gin one, that sold out pretty quickly for Dapple. So again, I can see why Hornby is doing this, and I can see them sort of doing a lot of sort of trade deals with the actual manufacturers themselves, and I can see a lot of these coming out through the years. You know, they did say that more announcements might be made throughout the year, so obviously this isn't necessarily the full announcement, but you know, I can see sort of towards Christmas and things like, yeah, more of these 6-wheel tanker wagons coming out on the market with different products in them. You know, I don't know what it'll be, but it's certainly, I can see it being one of those things that will work really, really well for Hornby. And yeah, I think they look fantastic, so I might pick myself up a couple, if not try and get, you know, the whole 4 set. Obviously, you know, for like £100, it's not too bad, I don't think. But anyway, moving on to another interesting one, we've got the horsebox wagons are back. I've picked the most interesting that I thought was, but we've got the BR horsebox wagon, and this is Bertram Mills Circus number 707. A little bit on the pricey side, it retails for £32.99, but yeah, it's great to see that back in the range. Moving on, we're going to the Railroad Class 800 coaches. So again, these come in the LNER range. I've picked that for the photo display on screen, as well as the GWR one as well. Each coach retails at £34.99, and I think there's 3 or 4 of them, so yeah, nice to be able to collect them all. Then we've got the Railroad BR Intercity Mark 3s. So they retail for £34.99, and I think there's 3 or 4 of those as well to get, so that obviously that'll go nicely with the train set they're releasing. But please, Hornby, if you are listening, and if anybody from Hornby is watching, if you're now releasing coaches for the BR1, where are the coaches for these? And don't anyone in the comments come for me and say, well, they did release the GWR coaches. No, they didn't. They released the higher tooling GWR coaches. They didn't release the railroad ones. They didn't match. So yeah, it's rather very irritating. So yeah, I think Hornby, it's time. Release the GWR. The train set is still in the range as well. So I think you will find a lot of people willing to buy the GWR coaches. I, for one, certainly would, because I hate that my GWR one has to run around with 1 coach. Not that I do, I have to chuck some first Great Westerns in there as well, just to make it look a little bit more like a train. Anyway, that's my rant over on that, but yeah, Hornby, get on it. But yeah, it's great to see that the BR Blue one is getting some love, and that'll get you to sort of a nice, I think about a 5-car train on there, so that'll look quite nice. The next interesting one is we have the return of the the LNER Gresley corridors. So I have 2 of these that came with my Centenary train set. They're fantastic coaches, But at the time of me purchasing it, because I got it a little bit late all the Cresley coaches that were available at the time were all disappeared, and I haven't been able to find any since. So it's great that they're coming back, and I will definitely be picking some of them up. As you can see, I picked the buffet car for the picture, but I believe we're getting a first class buffet, just a standard one and a full brake. So yeah, nice to have that back in the range. Certainly for the more highly tooled railways range locomotives, it's better, the better looking coaches to run alongside those than say the railroad versions. Although I have seen somebody varnish up the railroad versions, and they did look pretty decent. I just daren't do it with mine. But yeah, it's great that they're coming back into the range. They have gone up a little bit in price. You're looking at $69.99. However, they're also releasing a BR variant in the crimson and cream livery, but the full brake is just a BR maroon, and they retail at a little bit less at $61.99, back at the original price of what they were. So yeah, I don't really know why they've gone up, but they'll blame it on inflation. But yeah, the tooling will have been paid for. And then finally, yeah, this video has gone on quite a long time now, but yeah, we're moving on to a new tooled coach, and this is a twin pack. Comes in the BR kitchen and buttery car, with a composite restaurant as well. And the interesting thing about this is basically they were designed by Bullied for the Southern Railway, and as you can see by the images on there, they're designed to look like a pub. So it's a pub on rails, which I think is absolutely fantastic. You know, I'd love a pub on rails. It's a shame that in real life they were very, very short-lived, because they were quickly redecorated back into the, well, it would be the BR Malachite green, but it's essentially the Southern Rail Malachite green. So yeah, a little bit of shame that that fantastic sort of livery was painted over, but at the end of the day, if it's not working, it's not working. But yeah, I think they look fantastic, so I'm definitely going to try and get the crimson and cream one. I think that looks great, and they retail at $139.99, which, yeah, it's a little bit pricey, but again, it's a new tooled coach. Obviously, it's got a really, really striking livery, and it's not necessarily something you're going to be buying multiple of. You might buy one of each pack, but you're not buying multiple. And obviously it's a twin pack as well, so you know, you look at the costs of that, you're looking about £75 coach. You know, I'm just guessing on terms of maths now, but it's yeah, it's not terrible. Definitely, yeah, look, about £70 a coach, but yeah, it's not terrible, especially with today's going rate. That is about where things are for sort of highly detailed decorated coaches. So yeah, and I can see these selling really, really fast, so I would say get your pre-order in on that one immediately. But yeah, I definitely be looking at getting the crimson and cream pub pub on rails. So yeah, I can't wait. I think it'll look fantastic. But yeah, that comes to the end of Hornby's 2025 launch. What I'd like to know in the comments down below, what is your favourite thing from the launch? What's your least favourite? What's your thoughts over the whole range entirely? Were you really disappointed? Are you excited? Like, you know, do you think this is a you know, new true to form for Hornby? Because for the past sort of, definitely last year, but for the past couple of years, I'd say, they've been playing catch up as such from COVID, and a lot of their locomotives that were announced have sort of come out now. I think there's only the Flirt that we're waiting on, which is due imminently. So yeah, it's great that they're being able to get back on form, and I know last year's announcement was very small, but everything that was announced made it here by the end of the year. So yeah, that is great, and it's great to see that now that they seem to have caught up with everything, they've sort of gone for a little bit of an easier task as such. Obviously, there's a lot of resprays in this announcement, but you know, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I'd rather them get everything out by the end of the year than have to be waiting years and years for models to come out. The TPE class 803, I think it is it the 803, 802, whatever it is, Nova 1. yeah, I'm looking at you because I think that took like 3 years to come. So yeah, it is great if Hornby can now get all this out in 1 year, definitely. But yeah, what are you most looking forward to? Drop us a comment down below, and I hope you've enjoyed this little breakdown video. I'd say the one I'm most looking forward to would probably be, it's a hard one, isn't it? There's so much. I would say the Class 91. I think that's what I'm most looking forward to. Certainly, I'm unsure of which one I want to get, but yeah, it's one of those. And I definitely probably will be picking up a HST train set. I think they'll be the two things that I get this year from Hornby. But yeah, who knows? As I say, I have lots of pre-orders on at the moment. I've got a new locomotive that should be coming at the end of this month, which is a Cavalix Class 60. That should be coming at some point throughout this month, well, in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, exciting stuff. So if you want to watch that review, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Subscribing is free to do so. For those of you that are new to the channel or aren't subscribed, it's free to do so, but it massively helps me out. And from my analytics, looking at it, there is only about sort of 12% of you that are subscribed. So for all of you that are watching that aren't subscribed, just hit that little button, subscribe, and it's free to do so. But that way you will get notified when I upload new videos. Obviously we have the new railway build, we have model unboxings, so 9F, that is the latest one that will be coming, hopefully towards the end of the week. So yeah, you've been looking about that. I'm trying to get back into form of getting all my videos edited. It's usually Friday that I release a video on, but sometimes for special occasions such as this, I will release multiple videos. But yeah, it's generally one a week that I try to keep myself to. So yeah, 9F will be the latest unboxing, and we've also got, you know, these kind of videos, train talks, news updates, breakdowns and things like that. I know quite a lot of people seem to have enjoyed my breakdown over the Class 60 wars, as I've been calling it, between Cavalix, Curascale and Hornby. You know, time will tell which proves to be the definitive Class 60, but obviously the first one will be arriving at the end of this month. So yeah, catch that in the unboxing as well. Yeah, other than that, there isn't really much to say, but yeah, hit the subscribe button. As I say, it's free to do so. Hit a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video, as well as if you haven't, you know, don't just hit like thumbs down. Let us know in the comments down below any feedback that you can give. It is massively valuable to me, that certainly, you know, if you think, say, the volume's a little bit too low, or I'm just rambling too much, it's great to know. I take it on board. You know, it's constructive criticism at the end of the day. Obviously, nobody wants anybody to, you know, just be writing hate speech, but certainly constructive criticism is very, very welcome. And on that note, I will end it here because this video has been going on now for just over an hour. So if you made it this far, thank you very much, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care, everyone, and bye-bye.